Leisa Mitchell Haynes, running for governor here in Oklahoma, joining us on Oklahoma Chronicle. Thanks so much for being here, Leisa.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
What led you into this race this year?
Well, in third grade, God told me I would be a governor, and an angel appeared to me in August of 23, and she said, now is the time, write your plan and get started.
Okay, I've heard you mention that when you were in elementary school, that God came to you. And obviously it strikes me, you don't hear that all the time. I'm sure people ask for clarification, they want to know more about that. So when you say that God spoke to you when you were a child, you remember this?
Yes.
How did it happen?
I was just standing there watching another candidate run for lieutenant governor when I was in second grade.
Okay.
And I saw the TV and I thought, she acts kind of goofy. I can do a better job than that.
Okay.
And so by third grade, I was always active in politics. My parents wanted to know, who am I and where did I come from? Because I was always reading the paper saying, hey, let's go here, let's go there. And so the Holy Spirit just said, you're going to be a governor someday.
And that was reiterated 3 years ago now.
No, it was
2023, you said?
No, an angel came to me.
Okay.
She came to me in person and said, now is the time. Write your plan and get started.
And so you've been running now for how long? How long have you been campaigning?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Mm-hmm. I started officially in October of 23.
Okay. Now, you have a master's from UCO in public administration, I believe, correct? Now, you've been a city manager. Was that in New Mexico? Small town
New Mexico, Mangum, and Tuttle, Oklahoma.
Okay, all right. So here in Oklahoma as well. Yeah. So you have, obviously you have experience in leading smaller cities and running these operations. That level of experience, how do you think that would prepare you if you got, the opportunity to run the state of Oklahoma?
Well, I'm bringing 18 years experience in downtown management and city management, along with my Master of Public Administration. And that makes me the highest educated and most experienced candidate ever running for governor in Oklahoma.
So when you're creating your platform and the issues that you want to run on, what are you identifying as your key issues? The ones that when you're going out talking to people, that you are hammering?
Yeah. Well, I've met with 9,700 businesses and 69,000 people, and they have given me my plan of work. And I'll tell you what their issues are.
Okay.
Number one, they want a break from taxes and insurance. They are tired of the streets and bridges being in the shape that they are in. Mm-hmm. They want the water issues cleared up. Education, we're 50th in education and number 1 in marijuana exports. How did we get here, Oklahoma? Bad policy. That's how. And education is bigger than one issue such as literature.
Right.
And DHS, they are not working for families and children, and they have $100 million unaccounted for. Did you know about that?
Partially. Let me start with what you were talking about, though, where people, they said, insurance costs. We've talked about insurance on this program. Yes, they are high right now. Mm-hmm. People they're wanting lower taxes.
Yes.
But also then you point out the bridges need repair, the streets need repair, which of course cost tax money. That's how we use it. How do we find that balance when we're talking about making tax cuts? Because I know you're not the only person calling for things like that. Others are.
Yeah.
But how do we find the balance that we're making sure that we're still able to pay for those new bridges and the repairs and the streets and the education?
Right. Well, I've already talked to Congressman Tom Cole, and I told him, and thank heavens President Trump has been interested in doing some infrastructure help, projects, because we're going to need it in Oklahoma because of these water issues, because almost every city and county is facing water issues of some kind.
Right, a lot of infrastructure that needs to be redone.
Yes,
or at least
absolutely.
Fixed up.
Now, one of the tribes in Kingston is building a Hard Rock Hotel and 750 homes.
Sure.
So they're putting in their own wastewater treatment system, and they're going to include half of Kingston in with that. That is a good solution. Maybe we can team up with some of the tribes, and maybe they would help us do some of that infrastructure work for water issues. And then hopefully the federal government, and along with Todd Russ, our state treasurer, has made a lot of money for Oklahoma. And maybe we can get a loan from the state, borrow some of that money that he has earned for us, and get these streets and bridges fixed.
In some conversations that I've had, it is looking like next year's state budget might be even tighter than the current state budget that we have. And so as we move forward, as federal aid and assistance to states perhaps wanes compared to what we've seen in the past, it's going to continue to get tighter. And so as governor, you're going to have a lot of challenges put in front of you.
No kidding, but I'm ready.
So you mentioned tribal relations, or at least working with the tribes. Governor
Yes.
Kevin Stitt has, obviously he's had a rough go in finding common ground with the tribes on a number of issues.
Absolutely.
As governor, how would you approach the tribal relation, the tribal relationship?
Well, I've already told them that I'm going to be a partner, not a problem, and they love that. They love it. And I consider them an asset to Oklahoma because they are. You know, we have the 8th fastest growing economy in the nation, and partly due to those casinos.
Yeah.
They are bringing people in from other states. They're having a great time while they're here, and they're moving here. We had 39 families move from Dallas to Broken Bow because they had so much fun at the casinos down there.
Well, Broken Bow's a fun place, isn't
Yeah.
it? Casino or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they brought their families. They brought all that cash.
Right.
They infused it into that community. Man.
But then even in that community, we see, as somebody who loves going down to Broken Bow. Have you been to Broken Bow?
Oh, yeah, several times.
So you know how, because we've seen so much growth, the streets aren't keeping up as well. They're trying,
Yes.
but I mean, it's tricky managing the growth in some of these areas.
Yes.
We need to make sure that the infrastructure is keeping up.
Yes.
How do you think you're going to approach all of that?
I'm just going to do it. I'm going to hire a team of leaders that know how to build roads.
Right.
And they're going to work with these communities. We're going to start in communities that are under 7,000 because they just flat don't have the sales tax to do much, and neither do the counties.
Okay.
One county I met has only got $50,000 all year long.
For their budget?
Yes, for streets and bridges.
Oh, okay.
You can't do anything more than fill potholes and maybe cracks.
Right.
There will be no new road construction with that kind of budget.
What's the key, you think, for education going forward? You talked about it being a problem, but what's the key?
I'm going to get rid of Common Core because Oklahomans are exceptional. The Globalist 2030 plan, I'm throwing it out. And they've been in our school system for at least 25 years.
So when you say the Globalist 2030 plan,
Yeah.
what are you talking about that we're throwing out?
Their education plan. Look it up online. They're proud of it. But they put in sight words. Sight
Okay.
words don't teach kids how to read. Phonics teach kids how to read. So we're putting phonics back in. Most of the schools also have gotten rid of some of the basics. So we're going to put back in English, science, math, and writing. So the kids will learn cursive. We're going to put in singing, instruments, art, and PE.
Right.
Because who's going to play in these college bands if we don't have them learning how to play an instrument? You
All
know,
right, that's a good point. I haven't thought about it that way. Right now, I know the lawmakers are talking about perhaps lengthening the school year, that Oklahoma is in class less days compared to our neighboring states. Do you agree that something like that should happen?
Yes, Oklahoma goes on average of 165 days, and I think something like 21 days on the computer, which is ridiculous. Most of the states around us go 185 days, and internationally they go 212 days.
Well, you're clearly on top of that one.
Yeah.
All right, we only got 30 seconds. Make your last pitch here to voters who are watching you, maybe meeting you now for the first time. Why should they vote for you?
If you want a break from your insurance and your taxes, I need to be in your corner, and I will be in your corner. I will protect you against the Trans-Texas corridor that's trying to bust their way into Oklahoma. It's an 8-lane wide superstructure, and they're taking land by eminent domain. And the UN met on December 20th in Montreal with 38 countries, and the outcome of that is they're trying to take 682 million acres, all of Oklahoma basically, and at least I know about it, and I'm the only governor candidate talking about it, and I will protect you against that too.
Well, Leisa Mitchell Haynes is running for governor in the GOP primary. Crowded field, but she's going to be
Absolutely.
on the ballot. And we appreciate, Leisa, you coming by and telling us about your campaign.
Thank
and I
you.
wish you the very best.
Thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on Oklahoma Chronicle.